Last time on The Journal of Rick, the Three Perils, Marlo and his people were hiding out from the Dark Lord Blubo in the Cave of Sadness. During their time there, John and Jamie, despite being around 50 years old, had twin boys by the names of Lance and Goalie. Eventually Blubo and his army arrived, with a mysterious creature known as a Cyador, which we will be learning more about later. Marlo and his people made a run to the fords, where Marlo began making boats in order to escape across the ocean. Meanwhile, Ron, one of Marlo's friends, decided to jump in the water and search for a mermaid. And now the epic 7th part of The Journal of Rick, the Three Perils.
The Journal of Rick, the Three Perils, a book that I wrote as a kid. Part 7.
Hello everyone, and today this happened. I wanted to get just right started on this story so we don't waste too much time, but I should note that I have a little bit of a cold. I hope that doesn't interfere. I don't think it will. I'm usually pretty good at working through colds. But anyways, here is part 7 of the Journal of Rick, the Three Perils. "Marlo, Marlo!" yelled Moonster, running up. "They are coming," he said. "You mean Blubo?" said Marlo. "Yes," said Moonster. "Everyone get in the boats, quick," yelled Marlo. "Blubo is coming," yelled Marlo. Everyone screamed and raced for the boats. "I'm scared," said Lance. "It's going to be okay," said Jamie. They jumped in the boats. "I'll see y'all," said Ron, and jumped into the water. All 7 of them in the boats. John cut the rope, and then he said, "Look up!" for they could see lots of villains running towards them. "There's no hope. As soon as they get to the docks, they'll shoot us down," said Marlo. "Maybe we could stop them from reaching the docks so quickly," said Rick. "How? There's too many of them, and too little of us," said Moonster. "Come on, John," said Jamie. "What do you mean, Jamie?" asked Marlo. "No time to talk. Goodbye, Lance. Goodbye, and remember we love you." And they got off and ran to the villains. Marlo, Rick, Moonster, Lance, and Goalie's ship left. And there's going to be just a little bit of me explaining when we cross over to new scenes. For instance, about a day has passed in this next scene. "The seashore is quiet, isn't it, Lance and Goalie?" said Marlo. "Yeah, where's Mommy and Daddy?" said Lance and Goalie. "Beautiful, right? Where is Daddy and Mommy?" said Lance and Goalie. "Phew, look at those little waves," said Marlo. "Marlo, for crying out loud! Where is Mother and Father?" said Lance and Goalie. They've left," said Marlo. "Where did they go?" said Goalie. "Somewhere where they will be happy," said Marlo. "When will they be coming back?" asked Lance. "They won't be," said Marlo. "Well, why not?" asked Goalie. "You'll see them," said Marlo. "When?" asked Lance. "Hopefully not too soon," asked Marlo. "Why would we be good and a happy thing?" asked Goalie. "Well, you see, you would be happy there, but I might not come with you, and I'd miss you," said Marlo. "What place are we talking about?" said Lance. "The great place of heaven," said Marlo. "Isn't that where you go when you die?" asked Goalie. There was a pause. "Yes," said Marlo. "Do you mean they're dead?" said Lance. There was another pause. "Yes," said Marlo. He could hear Lance and Goalie crying. "Marlo, we ran out of water in our canteens. Can we borrow some of yours?" said Lance and Goalie. "Not right now. Maybe later," said Marlo. "Okay," said Lance and Goalie, and went to the end of the boat and watched the fishes. "It's nice of you," said Rick quietly. "To give them some of the water," said Rick. "Well, I can't let them die of thirst," said Marlo. "Especially so young," said Marlo, tears in his face. "Try not to cry. You're wasting good water," said Moonster. "That is a good idea, catching my tears and drinking them," said Marlo quickly. "What, drink all that sadness? I'd die of grief," said Moonster. However, he did catch a couple of tears. There was a splashing noise and a scream. "I got one! I got one!" And the three looked at Lance and Golly, for they caught a fish, and threw him down onto the floor. It was only a small one. Marlo smiled and said, "Looks like we're having fish for dinner." Ron raced down to the depths of the deep fish, swam around him like flies, and the coral was as beautiful as the flowers in the field. Ron could hold his breath for 30 minutes. Just then he heard some voices. They were coming from on top of a cliff, and now Ron could plainly see a beautiful castle made of brown stone. He swam up to it, and then he saw a merman and a mermaid sitting on the edge of the cliff. The merman had long yellow hair, blue eyes, and a beard and a mustache. He was tall, and wore upon his head a golden crown. His wife had blackish-grayish hair and green eyes. She, too, wore a crown upon her head. In the king's lap there was a golden egg. "What do you recommend we do with this egg, my love?" asked the merman. "What do you do with it, honey?" said the merman. "Well, it should cost a fortune if we sell it. Maybe to Gritinor, the king of the mermen's castle over yonder," said Gritinor. "Yes, but we've been at feud with him for 50 years, said the mermaid. "But we've never killed one of them, at least not yet. We tell them we surrender, for I know that none of the people have enough money to buy this great golden egg," said the king. "Not even I, but they have enough when we sell it to you to have it with the squids, so they can go to war with us. Great plan, and it will not fail." And they laughed a wicked laugh. And now we are back on the boat with Lance, Scully, and Marlo. "What's a Cyador rider, Marlo?" asked Lance. "You're not old enough. It might be scary for you," said Marlo. There was a pause. "But I suppose I can tell you too. It is a lot like a dragon," said Marlo. "You see, once long ago, an evil wizard named Mermaids wished to destroy mankind. Mermaids, although a dark wizard, could not defeat the race of man by himself. So he went to every wizard in this world. He knew there were in the end he got an army of about 10,000. And so he attacked all of mankind. But man won, and half of the wizards died. Then Mermaids had a plan. He went into the woods and found some wild Cyadors, and tamed them. He tamed 5,000, which is as many as there were. He realized that this was the exact number of wizards there were. He knew if he rided them on the top that the men would kill them instantly. And if they let the Cyadors fight by themselves, the chances are they just might run off. One or two of the Cyadors could have men on their back, but then the others might eat the other Cyadors. Then a great idea formed in his mind. Like a human's mouth, there is water. So to keep his wizards from getting wet, he made hot fire, which can never be unlit. The fire mysteriously changes people into evil zombies. They make a chair with a sharp point on the legs, which digs into the creature's tongue so they won't fall out when the creature blows in. Then some leather saddles, which go on the top of the mouth, so the creature knows which way to go. If anything is shot into the Cyador's mouth, it will be burned or melted. The wizard wears a helmet with horns on the top of him, and a red shirt with torn sleeves. His pants, too, are like this, with no pockets. They wear red to match the fire, and the helmets to show how they are alike to Marlo. "He wears a helmet with horns on it, too," said Golly. "Indeed," said Marlo. "Well, anyways, they fire one Cyador to the kingdom to see how much damage one would do to the kingdom. Then they watched it in their magical pool of water. The one Cyador killed half of the people. When finally the Cyador was dead, they questioned the wizard, and he told them everything. The wizard, seeing this, got on their ride and raced as fast as they could. The men, realizing they were coming, knew that they had no way of winning. But they rode indeed, and as they rode, they took out their swords. They hit the Cyador like fire burns wood, but the Cyadors were too strong. Finally, King Metaphor stalled on his horse and tumbled on the ground. He took up, unluckily, one of his men who was shooting arrows at the Cyadors, accidentally hit the king. The king screamed and pulled out the bloody arrow. Then he took out his sword and hit it upon the gigantic, some 100 miles, and the land broke in two, and the Cyadors and the wizards and the men fell into the water. None of them swimmed and died, and that's how the men of Roxenberg died, and the fire wizards, which now men call them, died, and how the Cyadors became extinct. The end. That was a good story, said Lance. Indeed it was, said Goalie. Indeed it was. Now we are going to skip. Later that night, a storm raged in Bellow. It was worse than the storm in Bingolf Field or at the Cave of Sadness when Lance and Goalie were born. Marlo, Lance, Goalie, Rick, and Moonster were all tumbled across the sea as lightning struck. The ship tossed and tossed, and the five were as wet paper. They had lost their backpacks in the storm, and now they were just wearing their jackets. Curled up together, they tried to stay calm. But just then, a great wave, and Marlo tumbled out of the boat and into the ocean. Lance and Goalie tried to get Marlo back on the boat, but the wind blew the ship far off. Marlo looked around and knew he was stranded at sea. And that is where we are going to stop. Do you think Marlo will survive? What's going to happen with Ron and those mermaids? You'll have to find out next time. Until then, sweet dreams and good night.